My Reverend Chelsea's not here tonight, but we've finally got Richard to take over and replacement for the night. You'd like to say a few words, Richard?
Heavenly Father, we just pray for your Holy Spirit and your guidance upon this council this evening, Father. Let your hearts and your thoughts be made express through these. In Jesus' name. Amen.
These are held immediately before full council meeting every month. Skegness residents can ask questions or make short statements on any matter related to Skegness that is not on the council's agenda. For matters that are on the agenda, please wait for the public participation item that is a part of the council meeting. When speaking, please state your name and the street where you live. The public meeting will finish at 7:15. Do we have any residents that would like to ask questions?
Yeah, John Lively. That's like council life then, I've heard Salisbury Grove Skegness. I'd like to make, with your kind permission, Mr. Mayor, a small presentation of a gift to the town council. So, if that's okay.
Fine, John, that'd be great.
As you know, last year I did, well, in 2014, to mark the start or beginning of the World War I, I did a lights out project with the Arts Council where we switched off all the lights along the seafront, as some of you remember, and we stopped the clock for 24 hours, which was a very proud moment, but even prouder for me last year to mark that centenary, 100 years. I did a project out in our twin town of Ballyganazine where I displayed all the names of those from Skegness and those from our twin town of Ballyganazine. There are 186 names in total. You know, brave young men that didn't just lose their lives but sacrificed their future. So, as part of the project, this is a replica of what went into the project out in our twin town. As you know, one has gone on display and will go on permanent display in the town hall in Germany, and I would actually like one to go on display in the new town hall. I'll make that presentation first because there's a follow-on to that, an actual question. But if I could make the presentation, it's as you can see when I came to do this project. It was important that the names were displayed correctly. I didn't want English on top, Germans on bottom, or vice versa. And I thought about this. I mean, it took me days, and then I came up with the idea in the end to do an alphabetical order for the first name. So we have English Alberts mixed with German Alberts. We have the Wilhelms mixed with the Williams. You know, there's no. I think how it was displayed, was rather poignant, and it's there for a reminder. And particularly at this time when we're going through Brexit, we must remember that despite what happens, and none of us still know what's happening, that our friendship still continues, and that's so important that we recognise that friendship is still there and will continue. And the follow-up, there's probably a follow-up question to that. I should probably go back down for that. As someone that joined this council back in 1999, obviously I was quite keen on the history of this town, and obviously with the Jolly Reason I held an exhibition here back in 2008 to mark the 100th year of Johnny's birthday. I know that this town, this council owns, some of the objects that this council owns are not necessarily valuable, but they're very, very important historically. We have the Winston Kyne collection, for example. If you look around this council chamber, we've got some absolutely wonderful images here, and I am a little bit concerned in the new town hall that some of this may be lost. Obviously, I want to see these names go on, and I don't want what I think or believe is such a vitally important documentation for future generations to look back on. And it all gets stored somewhere in a cupboard, never to be seen again. And I understand that in the new building, space is going to be limited, wall space. But I think, with technology, there should be something where people can come into the building and access it electronically, and I've seen it in museums where you can just flick through. And I think every one of these images should be accessed, so people can come into that new building and access each one of these photographs. The Winston Time collection, which is extremely valuable historically, not necessarily, monetary, but so I think you all need to think about that, and that's all I've got to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with any questions?
It's ex-council, Dorothy. And the question is, I take it we have all seen the prospectus is out regarding the 25 million and that East Lindsey District Council, who are the lead council, can this council reassure the residents that East Lindsey won't take a slice of this money in administration costs?
I think over the coming weeks it will become clear on what exactly how East Lindsey intend to manage the process. The prospectus sets out the framework for doing that, how it's done, who's involved, etc. Is still part of the decision-making process for East Lindsey. I think whoever does it will have costs. Now, whether those costs can be met from within the understand there's an initial fund to actually get plans for the spending of the larger sum of money. Now, that I believe is aimed at some administration and some of the set-up costs of running a board, for example. Exactly how that board will run, who will be on it, is the future decision making, and I'm sure that will become clear. And with all these government funding regimes, there has to be transparency about how the money is spent. So I expect that will be available for the public to see in the future when it gets to the point of spending that money. I believe that there will be later a statement by one of our district councillors as to what they know about the process so far, and I'm sure, as I say, over the coming weeks and months it will become clearer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just to follow on, I did have a conversation with our former MP at Ormond, because they're nowhere near as it's already further now. And he said to me that East Lindsey District Council is the lead authority, but the money is allocated to skegness, not East Lindsey. Section 1 agreement, and I think Councillor Kirk will brief everyone, he knows more than what I do. Section 1 agreement, East Lindsey have got £162,000 for set-up costs under a Section 1 agreement, so they will be receiving that money. And the bids should be for the skegness boundaries and resident less for East Lindsey. For skegness. East Lindsey, I don't know, but Councillor Kirk will brief us later. I don't know what their role in this is, but it's predominantly for skegness and of course Maplefield's has got the same.
Is there any other members of the public who'd like to question?
It's Barry Robinson. The money we're paying out at the moment for grass cutting in Skegness, yeah, I mean we've got our own team there now. Why are we allowing cars to park down Lincoln Road and whatnot, do the repairs on cars, sell the cars, can't shift the cars, can't cut the grass? Why are we allowing this to happen again when it was brought up a couple of years ago that this was going to stop? I mean, I don't know if any of you councillors have been down Lincoln Road lately, the amount of cars for sale and parked on grass verges, stopping our men from cutting the grass. You're paying them for it. It's coming out of our tax money. Time something was done. This is only Lincoln Road. It's got to be happening on other roads as well.
As I've explained on at least 2 or 3 occasions previously, there is no power at this moment in time to stop people parking on the grass verge. There are different rules and regulations regarding people using it for selling cars. I think there has to be a certain distance between cars where that occurs. But it was something that was going through, slowly through Parliament, but has never actually reached the point of new legislation being introduced. In some places, there are laws in place, so I believe in parts of London, for example, it is against the law to park on the footway, the verges. But in Skegness and in Lincolnshire generally, it's not as yet against the law to do so. There are things that can be done if it's obstructing the highway, and I think the police can enforce it in those circumstances. But there is nothing that certainly this town council can do at this point in time.
Check now to hand over to Jerry Bradley from the Wimborne Community Partnership. Would that come on? Check. Come on, you need to get it on the photo. Everything you can. Come on, Paul.
Is the okay with the boat? Yeah.
We now move on to the 7:15 Town Council meeting. During this part of the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting are attached to receive, consider and adopt or otherwise the minutes of the meeting of the Council held on Wednesday the 2nd of October 2019. Moved and seconded, all in favour, please show. Thank you. Agenda item number 2.
We have apologies from councillors Seabrook, Dennis and Ems.
Agenda item number 3, to receive any declarations of interest. No? Okay, agenda item number 4, public participation. Residents of Skegness are invited to speak or ask questions of the item published for a maximum of 3 minutes, to allow anyone to speak for not more than 15 minutes in total. During this part of the meeting, members of the public may speak on items raised on the council agenda. It is not possible to raise matters relating to council minutes, as the council is unable to reopen the previously raised. Each person may ask 1 question or make 1 statement and may speak for no more than 3 minutes. Responses and or considerations of the matter raised will usually be as part of the agenda item to which they refer, or may be subject to a written response at the Chairman's discretion. The session will last no more than 15 minutes. Members of the public and press are reminded that they may not speak during any agenda item.
Yes, it's County Council report. It says, following drains, let us know. It says each year the council cleans around 180,000 gullies. Right, I agree with that to a certain degree. But outside where the spoons, Dorothy Avenue, Dorothy Avenue, we've had the gully wagon come around 3 times. They've even jet washed it, and I had argued black and blue, beautiful road, they keep saying, but floods even in normal they go now, both 3 drains that have been blocked. And I said, it's blocked. I said, yes. I said, but it's tree roots. Oh no, it isn't tree roots, it's what they carry. So anyway, today they put the cameras in, didn't they? And what did they find? Tree roots. And I said, I told you that all along. And it's been like that for about 5 years. And it's got to such a state now, and yet they keep saying, you find the fault, report it. I've told them time and time again at floodboard, I said, I'm fed up reporting this. Dorothy Avenue on Weatherspoons, the mayor will tell you, he asked about that pond outside Weatherspoons. It's been there for 3 months. With all the rain we've had, it's never drained away. They kept saying, oh, it's a soak away, it's a soak away. How strange. Yesterday they come round, just with the early hours of the morning, they come round and cleaned it. And it's amazing. Fantastic soak away when it's a drain. Can somebody tell me what's going on with this county council?
I will update you on agenda item number 11 as we go through the walk round. So hopefully you'll find some answers to that one. Are there any other questions from the public relating to the agenda item? Agenda item number 5. The town's mayor's announcements and correspondence. Details available on the council website. Last meeting I got the rabbit with car headlights and put on a position which didn't need to be for it. However, I have brought my report for you. So since I became mayor, it's been 2019, Sunday the 19th, I attended the outdoor car event. I also attended the 1940s event at the Church Farm Museum. And on the same day at Open March, we presented a cheque to the air ambulance. 23rd of May, I watched the Linkage Community Trust. Me and the mayor attended that absolutely fabulous event. On to June, we visited the largest Crazy Golf and Terrace Bernard, and all the attractions, the new attractions that was open. 7th of June, we presented Bolton and Suncastle. Friday the 14th, attended the Rotary Club 85th Charter Anniversary Dinner. Saturday the 15th of June, the Alzheimer's Cupcake Day at the North Shore Holiday Centre. Thursday, June the 20th, attended the Tech Annual Brilliance Awards. And Friday the 21st of June was open for the over 55 toll scoring. Saturday the 22nd of June, opened the Little School Summer Fair. On Thursday the 25th of June, took part in the Armed Forces Parade in Spalding. I was present at the opening night of the Wonder Circus on the 25th of June in Marysville. We attended the Wonder Circus special performance for local schools on the 26th. Thursday the 27th of June, I attended the Meccano exhibition at the Embassy Theatre. Friday the 28th of June, presented trophies at the Swifts Junior Football presentation. Saturday the 29th of June, attended the birthday celebrations of family that he was 40 this year at the Seal Sanctuary. Saturday the 29th, listened to the Skegness Community Orchestra, a free concert in Church Hall of St. Clement. And 30th of June, attended the steampunk event at the Church Farm Museum. Hopefully when we get caught up next month, it might not be quite so long for you. Monday the 1st of July, we held to Judges Borough the March floral competition. Thursday the 4th of July, visited the football court for raise money. That was to meet the 6-year-old from Dinnington. Friday the 5th of July, we attended the York Kinson's Summer Charity Ball, which a large amount of money was raised for good cause, obviously one of my charities. Saturday the 6th of July, I opened the Beacon Primary Academy Summer Fair. The same day, I visited the Reggae Festival organised by Visit Green Coast. On the same day, I attended a charity kids event at the Pittsburgh Stadium. Wednesday the 10th of July, I was the official opening of the North Sea Observatory. Thursday the 11th, I helped present trophies at the bowls tournament. Friday the 12th of July, both the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor watched the Skegness Swimming Team's Gala. Friday the 12th, we presented the belt certificates to the Cobra Jiu-Jitsu Club. Saturday the 13th of July, the Deputy Mayor opened the Fun Day at Skegness Hospital for me. Saturday the 13th of July, where I attended the day at the Lincolnshire Coastal Light Rail at the 10th year anniversary. Saturday the 13th of July, I made a presentation to cyclists at the Royal Hotel, the fire right from Nottingham. Saturday the 13th of July, I looked around the Kite Festival. The championships were taking place, organised by the Coast. Sunday the 14th of July, I attended the annual butterfly hospice and released the ground hotel that was. Sunday the 14th, met Ian West at the clock tower after his walking around the coast. Lovely man. Great achievement that was. Sunday the 14th, attended the Lowell Charity Day in Adelthorpe and arranged a draw, raffle and awarded trophies. Monday the 15th, visited the football site South Parade and met members of the Skegness Speakers Group. Monday the 15th, watched Richmond School summer production We Will Rock You. Friday the 19th of July, was present at unveiling the NCS plaque at the Church Farm Museum after they'd restored the summer house. Friday the 19th of July, attended the Skegness Mini Fest at the Welcome, where they was raising money for Macmillan. The 22nd of July, I participated in the opening of Magna Vitae's Altitude 44 with some colleagues here. Eventful day that was, very challenging. Saturday the 27th of July, attended the RNLI Flag Day. The same day, I was present at the 100th birthday of Pat at Philip Grove Community Centre. Tuesday the 30th of July, I presented awards at Skegness Target Shooting Club at Skegness Family Sports Hall. Into August, Thursday the 1st, I attended the NCS National Citizen Coffee Morning at St Paul's Baptist Church. Friday the 2nd, I opened a refurbished seafood fisheries chip shop after their devastating fire early in the year. Saturday the 3rd of August, was present at Windcote Community Partnership Summer Fair. And the same day, I attended the Shepherd's Flock International Church annual health campaign on mental health, which was very interesting and I learned something. 7th of August, the Wednesday, 7th of August, I attended the organised event by Jeff Tomlinson in the Tower Gardens to celebrate the superstructure of the new building. Friday the 9th of August, presented it back to the NCS again. I looked at the way they've done with the county cares allotments. I attended that with our MP. Friday the 9th of August was interviewed by the BBC Look North for a forthcoming programme, which you all saw. On the same day, I welcomed the family of Skegness who walked from Nuneaton to Skegness to raise money for motor neuron disease. And the same day, I opened the art group at the annual exhibition at St Mary's Church, Winfield. Saturday the 10th of August, I attended the Meadows San Caro Summer Fair birthday party. Saturday the 10th was present at the Philip Grove Track Fun Day. Sunday the 11th, I judged the Carnival Floats and led the parade. 14th of August, I was one of the judges of the Pet and Dog Show in the Tower Gardens, arranged by Skegness Tower by the Carnival. Thursday the 15th of August, attended Skegness Fire Station Open Day. From the day that was. Saturday the 17th of August, I attended 2 events on that day. I delivered the first bowl, a tremendously great first bowl, as the round of applause came as it hit the other one. And I attended Philip Grove Community Centre for Strawberry Tea on Green. Sunday the 18th, I attended a community event at the Village Church Farm, and the 19th, I attended a wonderful circus Big Night Out. Tuesday the 20th, looked around the teenage market in the Tower Gardens, which was organised by Visit Community Coach and Bishop of University of Lincoln. Thursday the 22nd, both the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor attended the opening night of Janice Sutton production musical at the Embassy Centre. Friday the 21st, held a reception at Town Hall to welcome visitors, where we presented them with a plaque, just the same as Mr. Byford has donated to us for the Town Hall. And Sunday the 25th, they attended in Park Club to judge the engines on their annual pram push in aid of the air ambulance. And Sunday the 25th, I met volunteers from the Church Farm Museum during their medieval weekend. I also went down on the same day and welcomed the cyclists returning from a charity cycle ride at the Iron Uncle, who had cycled to Young Bridge and back. Sunday the 25th of August, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Jim Cobb, attended the Skegness Queen Association concert. Monday the 26th, I attended the Twin Association Gala in Hotel. Moving on to September, not too much now. Friday the 6th of September, I helped present the programs of the Voltron at Suncastle. Saturday the 7th, opened the Vintage Seaside Festival in the Tower Gardens. Saturday the 7th, attended New Park Club for the check presentation of the air ambulance. Sunday the 8th, we greeted Leicester City Football Club mascot at the clock for their charity ride in suits from Leicester. And I was present that day at the welcome for their check for the mini fest. Sunday the 15th, I was present at the Water Leisure Park for their classic wheel show. It was great to see that absolutely fantastic event growing each year. Saturday the 21st, I attended an 100th birthday party of Doreen at the Royal Hotel. The 23rd of September, visited Tech College to see what they do centre and chat to students and staff. The 27th, attended a Macmillan coffee morning at Indulgence on Ice Cream. Saturday the 28th, I visited the Gold Wing for the Light River Parade, and Sunday I was same day, sorry, I was present at the wedding of Mr. and Mrs. Newley. Moving on to October, Friday the 11th of October, I was present at the opening of the Circus of Screens. I think we were all invited to that. Saturday the 26th of October, I joined the new park club in their 5k walk, which we will let you know how much we raised. Saturday the 26th of October, and I visited the Aldridge Centre that day, the second day. The Deputy Mayor and Mayoress, Jim Collin and Cathy Bullen, attended the Philipsburg Community Centre's Halloween party. Wednesday the 30th, helped I the children from the Viking School staying at Bury a time capsule at the new Tower Gardens in Skegness. Thank you for taking your time. Now I'm up to date. Hopefully, it'll be a bit quicker the next meeting. So, we've got all that information.
Just before we move on the mayor's announcements, nowhere else to be on the agenda. Just to remind councillors that we are now in Herder for the general election, and that will also apply to the until the 12th of December.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6. Schedule of payments for approval, payments and reconciliation attached. Councillor Ward.
One question on payments. On the list of payments made between 25/9 to 29/10 on page 2, £192 repairs to zip wire. Why? The LDC was supposed to be patrolling it. Why are we paying?
The repair here was actually a preventative measure. The zip wire, one of the problems with the zip wire, which East Lindsey did repair back to its present state, was that there was a stopper at one end but not the other, and that's how it was installed, which means that when the zip wire is pulled hard back, it then causes damage, which was part of the issue before. So in order to prevent that happening again, which would then be a cost on this council, and to reduce that ongoing maintenance issue, within our general repairs budget, I authorised the installation of that stopper to prevent that reoccurring, which was a common occurrence on this type of zip line.
Just a question for the town clerk again regarding this, the time count on the 8th of the 10th, Perfect Circle JV Limited, payment of £7,262 project management fees. What's that for?
That's project management fees in respect of the new building. So that covers project management, but more importantly, a large part of it is actually clerk of works, because it's they who are actually going and inspecting the works and make sure that they've been done in accordance with the specification and are actually up to a good quality building standard. That isn't a skill that we've got in the council. We can buy that in, and that is part of the cost. And the council approved a whole package of project management, carpet works, health and safety costs. The council's got specific responsibilities in terms of site safety to make sure that its contractors operate within a safe regime, and that is part of the cost that goes towards those things. But the biggest chunk of it at this moment in time is the carpet works costs.
Any other questions?
Mayor, can I just raise one thing while looking at the bank statements and the mention on here, but I just want to report that a couple of days ago there was a direct debit set up against the council's account, which we couldn't account for. It's been cancelled and bankers paid us back the money. It looks like it was a fraudulent direct debit. As a result of that, we will see in future that we will redact all of the information regarding the accounts It goes somewhat against the transparency rules, but there is a risk element here to the council, and that's something that we can do quite easily. It was under the direct debit guarantee process, so that the bank instantly returned money to the council, but clearly the third party who had the direct debit set up will presumably carry out an investigation to find out it was fraudulently trying to use the council's account. In this case, it looks like it was some sort of magazine subscription. So presumably there will be an address that they can trace it back to. But yeah, so just to report that, I have to as responsible finance officer.
Can I just ask a question under the GDPR rules? Is our information secure? Our bank accounts, etc.?
There's no, yes, the individual councillors and individual pays accounts are not published in any way, they're secure. This was the council's own bank account, and for transparency reasons, we have to regularly publish, every month in fact, we publish our bank account statements and information about payments that have gone on, but without all the individual details of the accounts that they've gone to. So if that is where the issue probably lies, so that's something that I would take action to redact that information in the future. But this doesn't affect individuals. But I guess anybody who does show that there is a weakness in the direct debit system, because basically anybody who's got your bank account and sort code can potentially set a direct debit up, and there doesn't appear to be any banking checks whatsoever.
Okay, the end of item number 7. Councillor, questions being made? Item number 8, questions and comments from the Winchester Police representative. Number C.
No. Mr. Bird.
Councillor Brooks.
We did not approve the payments.
Okay. Scheduled payments agreement, do I have a mover and a seconder? And noted the additional comments. All in favour, please show. Agenda item number 7, councillor questions to amend number C. Agenda item number 8. Questions and comments from the street.
Can I have a question? Inspector
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. I read in the July about the success that you have, and I must congratulate you on the drugs on operation that you achieved, and the undercover and everything else, which is a tremendous result. I'm just worried because how much of this is a problem in skegness. I hear from people in my ward that cocaine is quite easily attainable now in skegness, as well as some hard breed. I don't know the name of this stuff, but again, it's affecting the young, disenfranchised young people, either mental health problems, etc. I just need to know, because I've got grandchildren, how serious the problem in skegness is.
Okay. There's a drug problem in Skegness, which is no different to any other town, city in the country. I've got children here too, and I'm, relatively speaking, compared to other places where I've worked in the county, relatively low. There's always been drug problems everywhere. If you guys need to compare it to other places in the county, you can check it's
My further, just one point, very
These are questions that could be brought to the council.
I know, but
in this area.
but I couldn't because of it's just been reported, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Again, about the investigation regarding what's happened with the fire on Road Bank, I'm not going to betray it. The investigation is actually going on still. Is that live still?
yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9, reports from the council presented outside bodies attached. CCTV minutes.
Just one point on that, Mr. Mayor. I read the minutes and there's a PCO from Alford. Is that continued because they won't be able to attend in the minutes if I read the properly? Sorry, perhaps the inspector explain that. Do you want me to point it out to you?
Please.
On the second page, when you look at skegness, and then just where it says police, and there's a server review suite and skegness police station. Someone like would probably bring more reviews. PCSO or Alpha would probably not be forthcoming because of funding.
Well, apologies, forthcoming for what?
That's the question.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yes, my main concern is basically, obviously I thought there was more money coming into the police and you were on the recruitment campaign. The way I read it is they're cutting back and if he says so, won't be forthcoming for that. That's all I was question.
No, we were certainly not losing any more PCSOs. We were looking at recruiting police officers.
Yeah.
That's just the very start of the campaign, but that's something that we're probably looking 6 months to a year before.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. The point I was trying to make, more was going into skegness, but people can't view it or take action. Probably so. I know we had civilians looking at it, but he said so, or police looking at it, so obviously it's fine. That's where I was coming from.
Looking forward to do I have a proposal and a second at the minute, please?
Mr. Mayor, I recently, last week attended a children's centre meeting. It's okay, I've given
it's fine, yeah.
It was poorly attended. It was only myself and one person from the Department of Work and Pensions that were in attendance, in addition to staff. In summary, for those that weren't on the last council, children's centres have got one of their key targets is to engage as many young families as possible to engage with the services which are provided for free, for signposting to other additional services, and also have a link into any safeguarding issues. The only thing to report from that meeting is it was so poorly attended, to be fair, is that Skegness was the majority hitting all the targets that are put in place by government for attendance at the children's centres, which is great, other than one target, which, as I'm sure you know, any parent of a 2-year-old that is on benefits get free childcare, and we are not, this town is not taking up on that offer. Their assessment of that is largely down to there's a high number of large families that are in this current catchment, and they deem that they don't need those services, as they've had plenty of children in the past and they don't aspire for work. And the DWP have promised that they're going to be signposting everybody that is claiming benefits to those services in the future. They were the only takeaways from the meeting.
Can I just ask the question to Councillor Curtin regarding the statement he's made through you, Mr. Mayor? My understanding is that I've got grandchildren, one just come out of nursery, and also the complaints I've received from my ward in St Clements, which is yours and also the Deputy Mayor's, is that the nursery places that we got that are on offer for 30 hours per week, which are free, they're very scarce.
There is one nursery that's incredibly popular, but we have plenty of vacancies for 2-year-old and 3-year-old funding in Skegness all around the area, so it's not just specific to one area. It's likely that Councillor Anderson is referring to one specific popular nursery. That's what I've been informed in the meeting. There's plenty of availability. It's not lack of availability, it's individuals just not wanting to take up that offering.
Can I quickly come back to the information I got? Actually speaking to providers is the provision they get from central government doesn't cover the true cost of childcare in the nurseries. And I'll stop there due to what the town council and I've heard.
Okay, do we have a proposal?
Yeah, I appreciate
appear like what the data is suggesting, and there are available places with nurseries that are advertising this. So there is plenty of places, and I was assured that that was the case by the people that were actually invited, members of the nurseries that were invited to these meetings that don't actually attend.
Thank you very much. Jose, do you know these? All in favour, please show. Agenda item number 10 is by District County Council as attached. This is the November report by the Council of
Mayor, Councillor Mason phoned me just before the meeting to say that he was unwell and unable to attend tonight.
matters out of this. Councillor Turner, would you like to make a statement or anything? On the report by District Council?
Yes, I do. I make a statement about the town fund. Now, sadly, I can't be the fountain of knowledge on this because it doesn't appear that anybody is. I can tell you what I do know, and some of it is in the read-document that you all got, which lets us, but some of it's worth just revisiting exactly what was in that document. As with all things that come down centrally, the devil is in the detail. You're quite right that at this stage, East Lindsey will be receiving a little over £162,000 to set up this town board. It's actually receiving it twice, once for Skegness, once for Mablethorpe, so whatever happens in Skegness will be mirrored in Mablethorpe as well. So that is the money that central government have allowed because they know that this actually is work that has to go above and beyond the normal day jobs. So, you know, it is a resource that they put there. There's no stipulation at present of how that money is spent, but I would imagine it's going to be involve lots of meetings, so booking lots of meeting rooms for consultations and things like that. You know, and as we know from our consultation we've done when we did some through Community Links, wasn't it? You know, just consultations are expensive things to manage and to run around. So that's part of happening. So that has started. The first process is, this seems really, really strange, the first process should be to form a town deal board. That's what the government says at the beginning of this document. And then a little bit further down that document, you'll realise that a East Lindsey District Council has to do its town plan readiness report by, I think it's next Tuesday, next Wednesday. So the town readiness checks have to be on the 19th. I'm actually attending on the 18th a town fund conference that's been held in Alford, which is just trying to get everything together just to complete this readiness check. So it's a lot of running around to get nowhere at the moment. But they still haven't said what the funding will fund. So you're meant to be building up these ideas about things that you would like to fund, but you don't know what can be funded. That is coming on early 2020, but by early 2020 you're meant to have things well underway as well. So it's presenting a few difficulties, exactly what can be funded. But what we do know is there are core themes. And Skegness Town Council and the community of Skegness need to be thinking at this stage, and the links have gone out on Facebook time and time again, what you would like to see. But it has to be about making Skegness a better place for residents. So it has to be about growth. It has to be about inclusion. It has to be about connectivity. It has to be about tackling deprivation. All these things are what this fund is to support. So, for example, if we were to say what we'd really like is the clock tower to be painted pink because that would be really pretty, that would never ever get funded because it doesn't actually hit any of those targets. Something that I'm keen to see, and I know this is going to make Councillor Anderson very, very happy, is I'm keen to see some of this fund maybe going into improving the FE provision we have in town. So that our young people can get skills and stay in town, not need to go out of town for their training, stay here, work here, have careers here, houses, homes, families, and all this sort of thing, rather than the brain drain that we currently see. So that's what I'd like to see. That's just my own personal opinion. Other people may have totally different ideas.
I agree, if you put on, tag on the old stuff.
Well, I'm all in favour of anybody should be a learner. So people get confused with the connectivity bits in there and they start thinking instantly about roads. This is £25 million. £25 million, as we know, Captain Boulevard's costing over £1 million. £25 million doesn't get you many roads at all. So it may be not about road connectivity, it may be about internet connectivity, it may be the way that we work together as towns, the way we work with Boston, the way we work with Mablethorpe, the way we work with Horncastle. So that's what it means by connectivity. And it could be that part of that connectivity is bringing some of the growth that's happening in Lincoln to Skegness, bringing some of the growth that's happening in the south of the county to Skegness, those sorts of things. So lots to be going about, and when people get the chance to input their ideas, and I think every idea is a good idea at this stage, because until we know what to be funded, we just say, well, that's a stupid idea, we just can't. So anyway, there's this, the funding conference happening on the 18th, ready for the readiness checks to take place. What we need to remember is that this will be done by a town deal board, which has to be headed up by the private sector. Because part of this is £25 million, yes, but you've got to be dragging in private sector money. So it's not going to be an East Lindsey run board, or a Skegness Town Council to run board, or a Lincolnshire County Council run board. It needs to be run by the business community, but with all us having a key role on that board. So the only other things I can suggest is just going back again to the document, and something that's been emphasised with our external briefing events is the programme of interventions you want to put in place must have clear objectives. We want to do this because it will, is what we need to be doing, and the it will needs to be evidence-based. So if we want to build a new cycle path down Lovely Road, why? How will that benefit the town? Where's the evidence that we need a cycle path? Where's the evidence people will use a cycle path? No, I'm not saying we'll do that, that was just a example. And the board, as well as getting all that stuff together, it needs to be an influencer as well. So what they're saying about that is, if we know that in Skegness there are healthcare issues, the announcement that came out this week and other people saw it, fantastic news from NHS dentists coming to Lincolnshire. You have new practices, new money coming in. They can't get one in Skegness or Mablethorpe because people won't work here. So how do we work with the health to get those people to come to Skegness? What do we have to do, and can that be part of our programme? So as I say, lots of ifs and buts at the moment, but people do need to be thinking about what they would like to see like to see happen in Skegness, but be mindful that whatever we put, just like with our town plan, we need to provide the evidence that it will make a change, and we need to evidence how that change will happen. So, for this town council, there's not a great deal for us to do at the moment, but we do need to be thinking about those ideas, and it could be that we revisit our business plan. What were our 3, 5 and 10 year goals? Are there any of those things that could be funded through this money? Because that's what it's for, and let's make it perfectly clear. This money is for spending within the boundaries of Skegness. But if we don't make a good business case, we won't get any money. It's as simple as that. The money is there to be spent if we can justify spending it. So that's all I have to say on this. It's really important that we as a council, and I know the town clerk suggested the next management committee is a good place, but think about things that are in our plan, because that we can evidence things that are in our plan, because a lot of that's the reason it's in there. But things are in our plan that we can, as a town council, like to bring forward for the community of Skegness to hit all those targets I talked about earlier.
Yeah, thank you for your report, Councillor. Probably helps to ask, excuse me. The Eco Centre, I don't know if you know the Eco Centre in Skegness, you know, or visited it.
No, not yet.
Okay, then you need to actually
Gentleman
go.
called Paul.
Eco Centre, which is off Richmond Drive.
Yeah, it's Gentleman called Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. There is a project there going on which helps people with mental health issues, which is in dire need, especially for men, because men do not speak out when they are suffering from mental health problems. And there is a project going on. You talked about health. That's the kind of project I would love to see when an inspector comes up to me and he says his cells are full with people with mental health issues, which shouldn't be there. This could help, you know, with those issues, you know, for local residents, especially for young men and older men who are suffering from severe mental health issues.
Councillor Duncan.
I've just got a question for Councillor Kirk. Why is the meeting being held in Alford?
council is that within the remit there is one board that's allowed to service two areas. So rather than having a meeting in Skegness for a Skegness board, there is quite a strong possibility that the members of the Skegness board, apart from a few specialists, will be the same members of the Mablethorpe board. So it's just worth trying to get things moving quickly to get everybody in a central location so there can be no rivalry or you know how this works.
I would like to see a Skegness board independent and Mablethorpe.
I think the vast majority of it will be, but you've got to bear in mind, if we have private sector there, let's say we have, for argument's sake, Stuart Hardy chairing it, from the business sector. Is he going to attend a meeting here in Skegness on Monday and a meeting in Mablethorpe on Tuesday? No. He will attend one more, but there will be definite differences in input. It hasn't been finalised yet because we haven't got that far down the trail. There's two items. I want two separate boards. Other people want one single board.
Yeah, as I understood it in respect, you didn't have to have one combined board.
No, that's an option.
Yeah, I don't think we should go down that option. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Councillor Clinton, please be seated. You do have a disability. It takes you away from your screen and your notes. So please feel free to be seated.
Yeah, just pick up on Councillor Butler's thing there to Councillor Kirk. Have you thought about that it can't get ploughed for any reason with this? Is there anything involved with that? Obviously, I've got disability, don't drive. It's nearly impossible to get to anywhere from here. I can't get out of it. Has anybody thought about just disabled people can't meet these board meetings? Can't attend these locations?
Sorry, I didn't make myself clear. The meeting in Alford isn't a board meeting. That's where we're having the bid to try and make sure we can tick all the boxes ready to submit a form a day later. So this is just a preliminary scoping meeting. There's no meeting of the board yet, the board hasn't been established. One of the things that the conference will look at doing is who are the key players in the area, who we need to be invited, nothing more than that. So it's not a public board type meeting, it's just a first scoping meeting in a neutral zone.
Okay. Of course, must be noted, do I have any proposal?
I'll move that.
Chair seconder, Councillor Ross, all in favour, please show. Okay, agenda item number 11. The walk around the Lincolnshire County Council highways. Report by myself and we'd like to make Councillor Kirk. We did go around the town in several locations. We started off on Roman Bank, which we were aware of major parts of the road actually collapsing. There are some concerns. They are going to be finding some money available for that. Can't hold them to the timescales, but they did sort of like look at towards September, which Councillor Carpenter will raise. But they're looking probably to start in September time. Due to it's going to be closed for quite a few months, and they've got to work out the way to make the traffic flow. Those sections are going to be closed for quite a long time because it's quite a big job. We've proceeded down up through the housing estates, Electrified, Sunningdale. We've raised issues first in the school in Windthorpe. They're going to do some hot boxing down there. We're going to do some hot boxing down Roy Lake and Sunningdale. We then took them down Park Avenue, onto Scarborough Avenue, to show them all the areas that were crumbling and decaying. They are aware issues that was raised down Park Avenue. They weren't down to utility companies, they were down to the shading, the covering of the trees, the road surface, just basically the top layer coming off, because these are, most of them are concrete roads. So they're going to do some work down there. They've also highlighted, other than the Roman Bank as a number 2 area, is around the St Matthew's Church. One side's been done, but it's very bad, and into the first section of Lumley Avenue, which they run out of funds before to complete the work, but they're they're looking that dangerous now. They're going to put that high on the list. We raised some issues. We went through the Councillor Ward, and we raised issues again. Some hot boxing is going to be done. We raised the issue outside Wetherspoons. Was told on the day, myself, to my face, that it would be done the next day. I believed it. I did. I thought it would get done, but it hasn't. It took me a week. It's finally relieved of all the water. It came along at 6 o'clock in the morning, yesterday morning I do believe, Tuesday morning, and it has been dealt with. We raised other issues around the directory there from Berryway onto Lincoln Road. They got on their hands and knees, admitted that the drain hasn't been cleaned out. So I asked the question, if they're saying it has been cleaned out, we need to find out why it hasn't. So there was concerns. There was embarrassment within the meeting, which levered the way for Wetherspoon being dealt with. We exchanged a couple of emails with the office, Stephen and Kate followed it up. And not getting no reply and promise, I kept on it, and I will keep on with the others. We went down onto St Clement's Ward as well. I thought it was quite productive at the time. Having been let down with the next hour wasn't quite so sure, but I'm sure we can keep putting the pressure on. We will get these things done. Anybody else like to?
Yeah.
Would you like
Can I just say, Mr. Mayor? Yeah, I was concerned about the works on Roman Bank because we're still in September and we're at the height of the season, a lot of traffic. They did say that the traffic they are going to send down opposite the Seaview Chippy down that road there and come out at North Shore. I've taken that forward with the company I work with, and obviously trees will have to be trimmed down there for obviously us to do that. But you know, that was one of my main concerns. And I know 2 months ago we brought up in here and we was worried about the road systems into Skegness and everything. Well, personally, I don't think there's a problem with the roads to Skegness with the amount of people who come here. They get here, it's when they get here there's nowhere to go. So we had a good chat about, but it'd take about 18 months to do, about doing things along the foreshore, like taking out parking, extending the time from 1st of March to the end of October on parking, so it's, you know, there's no parking on the seafront from the North Shore right to the clock tower. There's no parking at all. That takes about 18 months to do. I didn't bring it up because congestion, obviously, climate change is a big thing at the moment. When you've got all this queuing up of traffic, engines going, it's not doing climate change any good. So, you know, they obviously want to look at that and take that forward. But I think once that's in place, and I don't know through Councillor Mark Anderson, and which I saw in 1996, I'll show documents of a one-way system for Skegness from County Council, which would have solved a lot of our problems where I'm in today, had that been brought in. And we mentioned car park signs on the edge of Skegness saying that they're full. Because people coming into Skegness, if the car parks are full, they don't know. They just come into park. But if there was signs on all the main roads coming in to say the foreshore car park's full, then there's no point in them trying to come in to go into that car park because it's full. And things like that. So hopefully these things will go forward, they'll be discussed in the future, but obviously we can get somewhere, cut down on the congestion and make it a better place to come to, really.
Would you like to make Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, thank you. I think it was valuable. Sadly, it did take 2.5 years to organise, but I appreciate that the portfolio for highways has a lot of areas to cover. But I think it was a valuable day. But you're quite right. Just because they say it's going to happen, I actually do believe they generally 100% believe that. But because you use so many contractors, it may be that they did intend to get the gully empty the next day, but the gully team were actually out somewhere else and couldn't physically be there. But it is positive. I do think that we need to really reconsider our foreshore. Because this summer has been as bad as any other. And when we changed it all around 2 years ago, it's meant to make it better, but it doesn't appear to make it any better. So I think we do need to revisit what parking we do allow there, when and where. And further to that, I think it's also important that when the opportunity arrives, I've got another meeting next month as transport strategy, but when that arrives, at such a point, I should make sure the town council is fully engaged in that, because that is just about the issues you're on about, signposting people in the right place, rather than everybody go down Lumley Road thinking everybody can get to Festival Car Park when it's full, we've got spaces north end. you know, it's nonsense. So we do need to sort it out. But yeah, thank you very much for your attendance. It was very much appreciated by the officers as well.
Yeah, but I think there's just a couple more points I'll pick up on. You'll all be aware of great areas outside the entrance to the tower gone, where the routes are uplifting the pavement. Very, very shortly, you said there is a paving team coming to Skegness. They're going to take it up to see what they can do. I'm not sure what they can do yet, but they're going to try and sort something out so it's actually not uneven. There's issues down the road where they're going to make the areas around the trees bigger and put some resin back in. But there is a team of slabbers coming to the town. Also, we point out that some of the parking restrictions that we talked about, we looked at extending some and asking a few questions. And it seemed all doing was room about removing areas of parking. And they came back and said, well, tell us what the businesses need and we can work with them. So if there is half an hour wait and they need an hour or the hour and talk to us, and maybe we can meet that so people aren't damaging signs or breaking the law. They want to work with everybody to make and get time zones where everybody's happy. So I did find it quite good. I did think we'd listen to the letdown. I thought, hang on, I'll bring you in a minute, Councillor. But I did think it was positive, and I think some works will get done. There was ticking boxes saying we can find the money for that. Whether we can for that, we'll wait till January see if we can put into funding. But there was areas that said we can find money to do it, and some of the areas was on in the bad areas. So, Councillor Anderson, would you like to?
Yeah, you talked about the famous wall, which is our wall, Borough Road, and the footpaths on Borough Road, especially where the welcome is, and obviously where the Skegness Academy is, which obviously I've seen some horrendous falls by elderly people who are walking in or on their mobility scooters into the new shopping centre. And just before we have the trees there, did you visit that area?
No, broke down the bar through it. But
it is absolutely appalling. And I've seen quite a lot of elderly people and young actually fall because of the massive, great big root situation, and also the tarmac has gone. Okay, and there are some deep holes there.
I think one thing, just come back, one thing that they did emphasise, and I picked up on about a few road signs that have come down with cars crashing into them. How they'd like to think it doesn't always get reported, because the services clear up and go, they get the roads open again, so it doesn't get reported. What they did ask, and I would ask everybody as councillors, and I think it myself, for particular residents with tree issues, is that fix my street, because you get the follow-up to it, you get the emails, you get asked the question, has it been looked at, has it been dealt with? You go back and check and click no. It's quite good and effective, and some of the issues, I mean, it took me a week to get a response. I went on that particular tree, it was marked, it's ready to come down, but it's back to the old birds nesting thing, you just got to wait until I'm going to go and chop it down. So I think the Fix My Street is a big...
Yeah, I've used it before, but I've also raised it through talking to the county council. My main concern is when it rains, the puddles are there, and if there's a deep hole, you don't know. Or when the ice comes in the snow, deep hole, etc. If you're elderly, partially sighted, or a young person, or the buggy, or anything like that, I've seen some horrendous people fall with badly bad, especially the elderly, on their face, etc. It's absolutely appalling, really is appalling. And what makes it worse is their cycle routes. Just safe cycle routes to school. The kids are using those.
There's a lot of bad areas, and these things that we keep addressing. I think now we're talking to them, we keep raising them, just pushing them in the right direction. But the Fix My Street is something that we will take on and promoting. Probably something that I don't know whether we have on our website, really, because it's something that we've got to get everybody knowledgeable of, and it's a simple procedure to do. Fast and effective. It might save a lot of office time answering the phones all the time if they can be redirected to the right site. So it's probably something that we should look at on that link on our website.
I think it's on our to Z.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't always search. Maybe it's something we need to look at to hopefully get them to do these jobs. Are there any more questions relating to agenda item number 11? No? Thank you for your comments and concerns. Right, agenda item number 12 here. the committee meeting minutes are attached. If you haven't adopted otherwise, the resolutions within the minutes of the EJ committee that was held on Wednesday the 2nd of October 2019.
Move that we adopt them, Mayor.
Second, all in favour, please show. Item number 13, Planning and Planning Policy Committee minutes attached. Note that adopted otherwise, the resolution minutes held on Wednesday 16th of October 2019.
I'll propose it, Mayor.
Seconded, all in favour, please show. Item number 14, Management Committee meeting minutes attached to receive and consider adopt otherwise. Resolutions within the draft minutes of the Management Committee meeting held on Wednesday the 16th of October 2019.
There is a correction to that, and that is that Councillor Edgington is missing as an attendee for that meeting.
With the amendment, we have a movement, we have a second. All in favour, please, Joe. Agenda item number 15, Christmas closure period report attached.
It's the councillors who've been here for a while now, when we close the offices over the Christmas period. This just sets out the dates for that period, and the 2 statutory days which are incorporated into staff leave. Council generally use it for this period of time, and then staff take annual leave to make up the other days. So that's the proposed dates. We're closing 4:30 on the 20th, which is just before Christmas, and we're going to Thursday,
Yeah, I propose that we adopt Clark's recommendations.
Just a quick query on telephone, the office. Do you have voicemail on it? To actually
there is a message service.
Yeah.
It's not really voicemail doesn't work very well in certain ones. It's a bit clunky, but we can put a message to say that we're closed.
Yeah, that's the one.
So, we propose and seconded that we recommend this. Recommendations, all in favour, please show. Thank you. Agenda item number 16, the Remembrance Parade verbal report.
The Remembrance Parade, as you'll be aware, is on Sunday. Plans are in place and the advance warning enclosure signs have been placed. Councillors who are attending should aim to be at the service yard of Westwood Avenue no later than 10:15, so when we start to fill up. The roads will also be closed at 10:15 sharp, and the parade will start from the service yard at 10:30 a.m. When arriving at the church, only those involved in the actual laying of the wreaths should enter into the enclosed areas. That's what we did last year. It worked quite well. I think we can improve on it by making sure that everybody who's laying the wreath gets into that area. But it just enables those people to go forward easily, lay the wreath, and then get on to the next one. The year before, we had problems with people right at the back of the crowd with wreaths, unable to get through when they were called, and the whole thing became very delayed. So if anybody's got a wreath, they should need to go into that enclosed areas. But please, others, keep outside of that area. This year we've just managed to get enough volunteers, if everybody turns up. It's been more of a struggle than last year, but then last year was the 100th year of the end of the First World War, so as we understand that. Roads obviously can only be legally closed if we've got enough marshals on those road closure points. Both the office and ground staff have given up their Sunday morning to make this happen as well. Deputy Town Clerk and I will be organising the closure and reopening of the roads between the different road closure points just to make sure everything's okay and there's no issues. I think it's clear that the British Legion, Royal British Legion, the local branch, is struggling at the moment. And there's been on several occasions it's been mentioned that there is the possibility of the local branch folding because they simply haven't got enough fit, active members. And if that happens, that would mean that the Remembrance Day that we have would likely need to be changed from its current format because they do the marshalling of the parade, they lead the drum beat, etc. And they do a lot of the organisation when it gets to the church, the burying the standards, and all of this goes on. That's all British Legion. In fact, it doesn't happen, and clearly it means that it will be a different type of remembrance day that would be needed. And that's something that the council will have to consider going forward next year. The weather forecast is for showers and it's expected to be only 7 degrees, so I would suggest that people wrap up and get a bit chilly waiting outside the church. So hopefully councillors can get there and be part of the parade on Sunday.
Agenda item number 17, Scarborough Hill Car Park, legal report.
Well, the council now legally owns Scarborough Car Park, but as of today, we cannot yet legally operate it. East Lindsey District Council, following on from the report that I gave last time, have agreed to continue to operate it until the 31st of January, but then according to emails I've received, we will then be on our own. Following those emails, I've been in contact with the both Executive Director and Chief Executive of East Lindsey to see if that decision can be reviewed and a permanent solution found. I've spent quite a bit of time, and I would say that I've probably looked at around about 100 parish and town councils who operate car parks in decriminalised parking areas. I've not found a single case where the enforcement wasn't carried out by the nominated authority that was set up in the statutory instrument. I've reported that back to East Lindsey. And indeed, I haven't found a case where the nominated authority has had more money than the amount that they've collected in the 6 penalty notices. So I think there is something there. I'm not expecting to hear back from the Executive Director and the Chief Executive until next week. I've been promised early next week we will get something. Hopefully that will be the time to incorporate into a report to the next management committee. There was a suggestion in one of the emails that I got from East Lindsey that Lincolnshire Legal Services provided advice to East Lindsey District Council may be willing to share that advice with us. I have contacted them, but haven't yet managed to obtain that advice, and that would be really, really useful because it would help me to understand the perspective from the East Lindsey point of view, which I currently don't understand. We talked about the figure for the hourly rate that was mentioned in my last report when it was proposed that they would charge us for enforcement. That appears to have been withdrawn at this point in time. And in order to get that more explicit understanding of that, I have put a freedom of information request in, asking for the base data and the calculation that led to that figure, and I understand that's been having worked on. We've now received the costs that relate to the maintenance of the ticket machine, and that's broadly in line with the budgeted amount, so I'll be bringing that back to management committee next time. I could go into more details, but I wouldn't feel comfortable in doing that in the public arena. So if you want to hear any more, we'd have to go into a private session, but I don't think it's necessary at this moment in time. So that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, thank you. Charles said we now own it, but we don't. My point is then, if we don't own it and Eastlands still are running it, what happens to the income generated in that car park? Do we receive it, or does Eastlands, because we are now the owners of it, so it should be coming into our coffers and not into Eastlands?
My understanding is that you will receive the income less the cost of enforcement, but that, as I say, that may change over the coming days once I get a response from the executive director and the executive may think,
No, I think that question, Mr. Mayor, and I'm happy to hear that. How do we know the audit of what that machine has taken, or what is being banked? Are we scrutinising that?
It's not that easy for us to actually scrutinise the information. The cash is collected by a third party for
That's what I'm worried about.
for Eastern District Council, and the amounts are then put into the Eastern accounts. They have got accounts which show the amounts paid in for each car park. Previously they've been able to identify that. I mean, what I would say is if it's broadly the same as the level of income that's been taken in the past, then the council could probably be satisfied that that's the correct amount. But I mean, it's not a huge amount that goes between now and February. It's not the most active time of the year for that car park, so takings aren't going to be relatively low.
Councillor Kirk.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I share that frustration. It seems to be making a meal out of nothing at all, really. I find it really, really strange that they can give us a figure for how much enforcement is going to cost, but then we put an FOI in and they have to work out what enforcement is going to cost. I would have thought maybe they would have done that before they gave us a figure, unless, of course, we just guessing a figure. Heaven forbid that's happening. I'm sure it's very, very carefully calculated at Manbury. I'm sure the boffins are working very, very hard with their pencils, just trying to remember exactly how they got to that figure in the first place. But yeah, no, it's really, really frustrating. What should be quite a simple transaction has been made difficult, not just because of these reasons, I think they've partially got some responsibility here, but also legislation's not helping us either. So I'm glad that they've agreed to give us this 3 months enforcement, and that takes the pressure off a little bit, but we really do need to get it bottomed out once and for all.
3 months or so. Councillor.
I hope the information that, I'm not saying we need to go to private session now, but I do think we need to have the information that you've got regarding this should be in public arena, so hopefully they'll come out of the management. I think we need to know every detail. I don't think we need to be, I know the members of the public are in, I don't want to take it to private session now, but I do think council needs to know every detail.
Hopefully my management will have more details anyway, and then we can the detail that I give is really just painting a clearer picture of what's happened, I think. But as I say, I don't think public opinion that's the place to do that. But yes, we can go to private session in committee entirely.
Agenda item number 18, the NDP rent application verbal report.
I confirmed this yesterday at plan, but we had received confirmation of a grant of £8,500. I would say thanks to the diligent work of the Town Park, who has done all the work on this. And this has allowed them to move forward with the instructions the planning consultants to undertake the work required to provide supporting evidence as was previously discussed at the council. The money must be spent on this work by the end of February, and this has been confirmed with the planning consultants to work in that time.
Does that allow us then to make the adjustments to next year's budget that we're discussing in the meeting? A confirmation.
It's a confirmation of the budget that we agreed.
So on the night, ladies and gentlemen,